Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew, and what I have for you today are 10 military wilderness survival skills. So I'm going to go through these skills and show you them one by one, but first make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down at the bottom. It really helps me out. Now, let's get to those survival skills. Now, shelter is a soldier's survival skill priority, especially out in swampy environments or inclement weather where soldiers tend to operate. We can take our survival saw and harvest the sections of material necessary to get us up off of the ground. We want to get 6 pieces of timber that are roughly 6 feet long, 3 inches in diameter, and then we want to get 2 longer sections, about 8 feet long, 3 to 4 inches in diameter. We can take those 6-footers and lash 3 together, creating 2 tripods, one for the foot and one for the head of our shelter. Establish those and set them up in the location we want to sleep at to get up off the water. And then we take our poncho and we put our longer sections on top of that poncho, fold our poncho over like we're going to create an improvised litter to carry a casualty, and we secure the grommets of the poncho to those 8-foot poles as best we can with our parachute cord. We take that whole litter with our poncho and our 8-foot poles, put them right over top of our tripods and set them in place, add additional lashing if necessary, and then simply swing into that shelter and we're ready for lights out. Now, as soldiers, we're not always limited to just issued gear. We can get a lot of gear commercially, and something that is great for soldiers to have is a water filter that will attach to a camelback. Typically, soldiers are going to carry camelbacks, so we can fill up that camelback with dirty, nasty water from the swamp and simply attach our filter by cutting the hose, adding the attachments to the filter itself, and then attaching the filter. And all we have to do now is simply drink from our hose, and that water, the dirty, nasty water, will pass through the filter, clean water on the other end, and now we can have water to drink and continue movement. This is a very fast technique for soldiers to use, especially on the move, out on patrol. If it's one thing soldiers are good at, it's going to be improvisation. And we've got a lot of items as part of our basic loadout for utility and for sheltercraft. For utility items, we have 100-mile-an-hour tape, and we've got those zip ties that we can use to put together anything we need to out in the field. And then we've got our bungee cords that we can use for shelter and putting up a shelter very quickly. But we can improvise with those bungee cords, harvest a wide branch from the area, and then attach those bungee cords with our zip ties to that Y branch, cut the middle out of our bungee cord, create 2 overhand knots, and then using that 100-mile-an-hour tape, construct a basic slingshot pocket to hold our ammo. And we've created a slingshot with just a few items that we carry with us, and then a branch from the area. And now we have a ready-made improvised slingshot to attempt to go after some game out in survival or during our field training. If it's one thing soldiers should be good at, it's land navigation. And one of the tips or tricks we can use to make land navigation easier, so we're not messing around with a giant map or taking a chance and getting our map wet and ruining it, thereby not being able to land navigate, is to simply make a recon pad. All we have to do is take a photocopy of the area we're going to operate in, attach it to a piece of cardboard or MRE trash. On the opposite side, take a piece of aluminum tape, attach that tape to the opposite side of that cardboard, and then taking acetate or page protectors, clear plastic, put that over top of both the map and the aluminum paper, tape the edges, and now we have a waterproof map of the area. Now, one of the tools that soldiers are going to have, especially infantrymen and aviators, is going to be a pilot's survival axe. Infantrymen are going to use this tool to conduct breaches and to get into certain areas, while pilots are going to use this tool to help get out of wreckage or the fuselage of an aircraft after it has crashed. They can use this tool to get through metal and break that metal to escape that burned wreckage. This tool can also be used for survival and taking down different materials and constructing shelters. And it's also high carbon steel, so we can find a hard rock or a piece of shirt, and then if we have tinder ready to go, like charred material, we can take that survival axe with a piece of shirt or a hard rock and strike sparks off the top of that axe into that charred material, igniting it, place that in a tinder bundle, and then blow it into flame to get a survival fire going. Fire is an important skill, and even more important for soldiers is having a concealed fire pit. That way we turn the earth back the way we got it, and we leave no trace once we're out of that area for anybody to find. One of the best is the H concealed fire lay. All we have to do is take out our survival knife, cut an H into the soil, and then using our survival knife, pry up the top layer of soil and roll it away from where we're going to have our fire pit. Then we take our survival knife or our E-tool and dig out a small hole in that earth, keeping the dirt around the edges. Then we start our fire, use it for whatever reason we need to, whether that's to warm up or to make a hot drink or cook food. And then once we're done, we put out that fire and put the soil back on top, roll the earth or that H cut back on top, put it back together, conceal that H, and then it'll be like we were never there. Fire lighting is an incredibly important survival skill, especially using improvisational methods. To get a fire going, especially in inclement weather or in areas of recent rainfall where tinder, kindling, and fuel around the area may be marginal or somewhat damp, we can use something like a flame extender to extend the flame from our lighter and then get a fire going in a survival scenario. We can use our MRE spoon from our ration, take that out, use our Ranger lighter, light the spoon, and then stick that down in our fire pit. We can pile our tinder, kindling, and fuel all around that spoon to get a fire going very easily and use that fire for whatever we need to. Anything from cooking food to boiling water, or just to get warm and have a psychological boost. We can use that MRE spoon as another flame extender to get a fire going in a survival situation. For military survival, we can't overlook the benefits of getting a good night's sleep. And we often have to travel light because we have mission essential equipment that's going to take up space in our rucksack. So a lightweight sleeping bag system that we can have modeled after the military sleep system is just a simple patrol bag or a Ranger burrito. This is a modification of that system. We have our outside bivvy, 100% waterproof, very thin material. We've got our sleeping pad on the inside, as well as our Swagman poncho liner. We can simply roll out our sleep system, inflate the sleeping mat, and then climb into our shelter to get a few hours of sleep. Once it's time to wake up, we get up, deflate the sleeping pad, and just roll the whole system back up into its roll configuration and place that right inside of our assault pack. And that way we can get up and get on the move quickly after getting a good night's rest. One of the more convenient items soldiers are going to have out in the field is a simple cook set. We could use our canteen cup and a small stove with fuel, but in this case we have a 1-liter bush pot with our fuel, a small stove, and a lighter inside, easily packed away and then taken out to make a hot drink or cook food when the time is available. We can dig a hole and pile rocks around that hole to place our fuel and then our stove inside, protect it from the wind, and then protect it from observation if we're using that stove during hours of limited visibility. That way we can still cook and purify water when we need to. That fire pit also protects the flames from our lighter and from the stove itself from being blown out by the wind. This bush pot is great because it's 1 liter. We can use it with water tablets if we have to. We can also use this pot over a fire if we run out of stove fuel, so we can make a fire and simply put this bush pot with lid on in the fire to use it that way. Now, one of the most important survival skills for a soldier is that ability to make a hot drink, and especially to make coffee out in the field with just the grounds, some water, and a bush pot and a heat source. We bring that water to a boil in our bush pot and then add coffee grounds to taste. We let that water percolate or boil for about a minute to release all the caffeine and all the good flavor, but not over a minute or so to release all that bitterness. We want to avoid that bitterness. Once we're at a minute, we take that bush pot off, turn off our stove, cover our bush pot with our lid, let it rest for a few minutes, and then once we're done, we grab our canteen with a little bit of cold water, add that to our coffee to help the grounds sink to the bottom of our bush pot, and then we have field coffee ready to go. The best survival skill out in the field, especially on a cold morning. All right, guys, 10 military wilderness survival skills in 10 minutes. I really hope you liked this video. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another awesome video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.